Hello YouTube and welcome to the Indie Evolution channel. I'm Gamer and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Dead State. We just wrapped up our Let's Play of Dead State. I wanted to come back and do kind of a follow-up video and give you guys just a brief overlook of the game. Pretty much my first impressions of the alpha. Actually my final impressions of the alpha, but my first impressions of the game. Not to start at the ending, but I just want to be clear. Dead State is shaping up to be a very good looking RPG. The limited elements that you can see in the 7-day demo, all of them appear to be well done. And it just leads to a fun, atmospheric experience that I think most players, especially if you're a fan of 90s, early 2000 turn-based RPGs, if you're a fan of the zombie genre and you like the slow shambling zombies and the survival in zombie movies, I think this is going to be something that's up your alley. This is probably one of the few zombie titles that I can think of that really does play on the personal elements of the zombie apocalypse and also the key survival elements of the zombie apocalypse. The story in Dead State is pretty standard fare. You're a survivor of a plane crash. You and some other survivors are holed up in a school. Your initial mission is going to be to go out and find some supplies to fix the fence, but the fence that's going to protect the school. This is kind of important because this sets a trend in the game that your quests in this game, some of them are going to be go fetch quests, but they're driven by necessity. They make sense in the grander scheme of your objective, which is to survive. Pretty much, you know, your character becomes the de facto leader of the group from the beginning. And the game does kind of play out with some tropes from Pulp Fiction, zombie films, 80s B movies. The characters have their own kind of personalities, but they are obviously there to fill a purpose. Joel, the police officer, is there as a ranged combat character and also, you know, has some information that leads to quests. There's also a character who's a young girl who's a veterinarian and she acts as the group's healer. Her mother is a tough-talking truck driver. She's kind of the melee character. There's another disabled character named Davis. He kind of stays back and is concerned more about the shelter. And there are other characters that pop up throughout the game. That portion of it is pretty well done. Kind of underdeveloped in the 7-day demo. But like I said, the game will be much longer in its final release, and I'm sure there will be a lot more story and a lot more tale to tell. Brian Mitsoda is the creative mind behind Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and that was a phenomenal story. The game had its bugs and its problems, but the story was phenomenal. It was enough to keep you playing. So this is a guy who has a reputation for crafting good stories in games, so I wouldn't worry too much there. Some of the elements that are not yet developed in the game are some of the elements that I was most looking forward to. From an RP standpoint, there is no character creation right now. There will be character creation, but right now you will play as Brian Doublebear, the avatar that has been created for you. He's kind of a jack-of-all-trades character. I think this really was done for two reasons. One, to make the game more accessible, by ensuring that from the get-go the player would have a character who was going to be functional. They would be able to explore and experience every element of the game with this kind of jack-of-all-trades character. So this wasn't a bad idea. I think it was done, you know, not to cover a flaw or anything in the game. I think it was done to aid new players in getting the most out of their 7-day demo experience. Character progression is not yet part of the game. it will be in the future. The developers have stated that characters will not get experience points for combat and just mindless farming of creatures in order to boost your level. That won't be part of this game. You will be completing actual tasks and missions to get your experience points, and that's what you will use to level your characters. But those elements have not yet been implemented. That's going to be a big determining factor for a lot of people as to whether this game is successful or not. That the crafting of your role and the building of your character throughout the game is a big part of RPGs, and we look forward to seeing that portion of the game sometime in the future. The second element of the game, which is not yet developed, you get some shades of it. You get to see some menu screens and some different things in the demo, but the strategic element of the game is not there yet, not fully implemented. But in the 7-day demo, you can see a lot of these structures that will be available to you, and it does give you a pretty good idea of where the game is going. You'll be crafting rudimentary weapons, Molotov cocktails, various pieces of armor at your shelter. You will be making it self-sustaining, water, generator, it'll be a place where you'll store your food for your survivors, various other items that will affect survivor morale. And that's another portion of the game. Not only will you be responsible, once you're the de facto leader, for keeping these people healthy, you will also be responsible for keeping them happy. Morale does play a factor in this game, and boosting the group's morale is part of your job. So that is one factor I did like about this game, is that morale system. The main focus of the demo as it stands now is the game's combat. I don't know how. I don't think the game itself is centered around combat, but the demo definitely, that is the most developed part of the game at this point, is the combat. And it is well done. It is enjoyable. If you're coming to this game looking for a Jagged Alliance type of depth, you're going to find this to be quite a bit more shallow than the highly combat focused games like Jagged Alliance, but it is very accessible. It's very easy to get into, and it has some depth. Every character's melee rating will give him access to various tiers of special attacks. Those special attacks will vary depending on the weapon that you use. A baseball bat can be used to push back an approaching zombie, or when fighting against another human being, it can be used to make a head strike that disorients and confuses the enemy, making him less likely to hit you. So you can basically use these to debuff your enemies. There are also special attacks that will provide increased damage. Different weapons actually have a different feel strategically in the game. Small weapons like hammers and hatchets you can use for a relatively small AP cost. They do a small amount of damage. You can augment AP points to their use in order to get some of these special attacks I mentioned, but they also allow you to move and attack more easily, while a weapon like a sledgehammer leaves you with very little in the way of options. It's pretty much a weapon where you take one big swing a turn, and that is all she wrote. So overall, the combat is interesting. It's going to be a really fun part of the game that I think people are going to enjoy. The one thing I did like about the game is that zombies by themselves are fairly easy to deal with. You can take out with your group one zombie really easily. Your main threat in this game are actually other humans who are vying with you for these resources out in the world. They are extremely dangerous. And the really interesting moments in the combat to me come when you are fighting with other human beings and you are making a lot of noise, and then you begin to attract hordes of zombies to those locations, and it turns into a kind of a, and it's hard to say this about a turn-based game, but it really does turn into kind of a wild scrum to get from place to place and to survive. And in those moments, that's when I found that you see people go down, be infected by zombies, they rise back up and become part of the horde, the ever-growing horde coming at you. And that's really the moments in this game that mimic some of our favorite tropes from zombie films. I hope you guys are as excited about Dead State as I am. I had a great time with the 7-day demo. I would recommend you check it out, because I think just from looking at the 7-day demo, I think the final product, if it maintains the quality standard that they've set with this early alpha, I think we're going to have one heck of a finished product. So hope you guys enjoyed the Let's Play I did. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave me a couple comments. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know what you guys thought of the game Dead State. Like, dislike, please engage me. So, Indie Evolution channel, End Gamer. The game of the day is Dead State, gentlemen. Take her easy.